Good evening, everyone. I am so glad you are here. My name is Debbie Packard from Topeka, Kansas, and we are thrilled this evening to have Cynthia Greenawalt joining us to share from her wealth of understanding and wisdom about this business. Cynthia is a graduate of Wharton School of Business. She is a peak performance consultant and an engaging speaker and author on unleashing the power of social capital. She founded Sea Change Networking to address the demand for new thinking required for unlocking the gold deep within the gold mine of our network of relationships. Cynthia was the founder of both the Fort Lauderdale and Miami regions of Business Network International, the world's leading referral organization. In addition, she is a contributing author of the New York Times bestseller, Masters of Networking, and the Wall Street Journal bestseller, Masters of Success. I am so honored to introduce to you Cynthia Greenawalt.
Debbie, thank you for that beautiful intro. That made me feel very honored and celebrated. So let me share my screen and we'll get right to it. So we have a little time for Q&A at the end. So as Debbie explained or shared, I am very much about new thinking. That's all my life, peak performance from being an athlete to wanting to be part of innovative companies. When I was 29, I was invited, I think it was my second time, my second rodeo, as they say, in network marketing. And I was very fortunate. My first one was one of those old, the old guard companies that are doing, a lot of money, a lot of business, and so many people that I thought, oh wait, I'm a little too late to this one. And then I got invited to an early stage company. And at 29, my team was growing. And within 2 years, I had 6,000 people on my team. And that was only in the US. It was a pioneering invention. It was a waterless car wash, patent pending. I was one of the top 10 money earners. And when, privately held, did not know that that was a bad move back in the day. But that was a heartache because overnight, without any sort of fair warning, I had a feeling, I saw the writing on the wall when they changed the comp plan in kind of not such positive ways a couple times. I was like, something is up. So I actually paused to kind of watch what was happening, but my team was just growing and building. And sure enough, the owners, something got messed up. They didn't handle it properly. They weren't agreeing, blew through money, whatever it was, they closed their doors unannounced. And I remember that experience saying, whoa, I am never doing network marketing again unless I find publicly traded, a company that has an innovation like patented or proprietary, because I'm not going to go into network marketing selling something that people can buy down the street. That's just not my idea of a long-term, multi-decade business model. And then third, it has to be under 250,000 distributors worldwide or I'm not touching it, because it means I want to get in pre-momentum and not when momentum is in full swing, because that's just like no longer having the wind at your back. So those are the things all my years in the industry had made me realize, and I actually didn't think I was going to find it. I basically thought, that's like finding Apple before anyone knew who Steve Jobs was, and he decided to use network marketing affiliate agency models to open countries. I said, I don't think this is going to happen to me. I don't think I'm going to find what I'm looking for because I had such a tall order. So I just went about coaching, training. About a third of my clients as a business trainer they were in network marketing. Like almost a dozen different companies were sending their leaders and teams to me. And so when Sarah Smith showed LifeVantage to me, my first reaction was like, well, first of all, I can't join a team. I'll lose all those clients. So I was just happy to be her cheerleader. In fact, the more I learned about LifeVantage, the more I said, whoa, while I can't join you, I'm going to definitely send people to you. And I began referring people to her. I said, I've never seen what you have in this industry. So anyone who's looking, I am going to make sure that the only thing they need to be, if you're going to be looking at something, talk to my friend Sarah Smith. So she met me where I was. She did not try to say, oh, you can do this. She was just, if I wanted to be a connector, she allowed me to be a connector. Of course, I was a customer and a connector. And I never thought I would do it until I she actually said, do you want me to show you would you like to see how I take care? Here's what she said. Would you like to see how I take care of your referrals? So you kind of know the process I walk them through as they evaluate this. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I sat in on a LifeVantage overview, a Zoom call with the slides, and that's when I saw patents and clinical studies. I was seeing all these visuals. I'm a visual learner, and I was like, wait a second. What I'm looking at, will probably never happen in this industry again. I need to do deeper homework. And I was actually annoyed. I was like, I'm starting to like this. It was a disruption. And this is why we have to have compassion for people who are successful, running on a focused track. One of the keys to success is putting on blinders. We must put on blinders to be successful. The catch 22 of that, though, is what if I put a blinder on and I miss the thing that I'm actually supposed to be, kind of the universe is sending me. So that's when I took the time to evaluate this. So be patient. It might take a few years for someone to be able to see the vision. Just allow them to be. So I call this training Getting Started, the Roadmap to Success. It was actually something I co-created with my enrollers, Sarah and Chris Smith, because of my 30 something years in network marketing, and the two of them coming from no background in network marketing, but have figured it out because they could start here, get mentored by the best. They found building depth, and they are now pros in this industry. And I'm like, I love that. I love that I can call upon them when I have someone who's like, I'm not you, Cynthia. I don't have that background. I'm like, let me introduce you to my business partner. So we're a really great collaborative, and we put this roadmap to success together, and it's something we utilize to launch our new team members. So let me just walk you through a couple of the key things. The question, if you're familiar with the idea of leveraged income, that's why this is so important. I'm gonna actually minimize something on my screen so I can, there we go. The purpose of this training is to answer this question. How does a busy person build a leveraged income stream with LifeVantage, working part-time, harnessing the timing, the systems, and support team, all while helping bring awareness of this new science to the world? Yes, long sentence. Let me say it again. How does a busy person build a leveraged income stream with LifeVantage, working part-time, harnessing the timing, the systems, and support team, all while helping bring awareness of this new science to the world? That is what this little mini training I'm covering is going to allow for a brand new person. And sometimes it's really great for someone who's been in for a while. It's like a chance to kind of come back to the basics. Vince Lombardi was very famous for winning the championship, and then as soon as the new season started, day one of the first practice, he'd be like, this is a football. I mean, he would just go right back to the basics. So that's why I love this training. It's not about getting fancy. It's about keeping it simple. And one of the hardest things for innovators, I'm an innovator, is that we want to always innovate. Well, the point here is keep the system same. There's a little bit of humdrum in this. That's why it's sort of counterintuitive. But if we just realize that if I keep the system the same and simple, I can innovate with like my creativity and my enthusiasm and other, it's just so much fun to allow my creativity to express itself, to like funnel energy into a system that if a 12-year-old could do this, that's sort of the test for having something that's duplicatable. Like if you have your 12-year-old who at home heard you do the presentation enough, they're like, I could do that. That's how you know you're on the right path. So here are the 5 things. I'm probably only going to cover 4 because of the time, but we're going to touch on the launch guide, which is another name for a getting started checklist or game plan. I'll touch on the importance of creating a new money mindset, the idea of leveraged income, then skills to master, with half a dozen skills, the 5 core behaviors, and if I have time, I'll talk about the 3 phases of the business. So the launch guide, I think of this as like a handy little game plan, a fill-in-the-blank business plan, or a checklist that we would review with our new team member when they join LifeVantage. Okay, so we're going to talk about 2 of the key elements of this launch guide. You can find it on the corporate website. The ITT, I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about why LifeVantage. Now, this is when a brand new person is like, what are we actually doing? Remember, they're trying to figure out what we're doing. So sometimes I love holding a roadmap to success training for my team, and they bring their guests. They're listening in, or maybe we record something like this, and we let our new guests who are evaluating this business like sit in on the roadmap to success. So the 2 elements, ITT, I'll define that in a moment, and then why. What is my why for doing LifeVantage? If I'm going to do this, what's my why? I'll talk about that. So here's the launch guide, and some teams use different checklist tools. It's whatever checklist your team is using. I'm just going to dive into just two elements. The ITT, because this is the part that people wonder what we're doing. They only know like what their friends in network marketing were doing for the last whatever X years or decades that they've had people like kind of on them. That's their experience. Like network marketers are on them to do their thing. And so they think, and is that what I'm supposed to do? Like be on other people? Come after them with a product? Like they don't really understand what they're doing other than what they've experienced. So this is our chance to kind of set the record straight. ITT helps explain, this is how I've weave this into my behavior style. First of all, if you've ever met me or if you just met me now, I'm intense. You do not want me coming after you like with a crosshair, coming down to like sell you something. I don't want to do that to my friends. I'm too intense. I would freak me out having me come after me in that kind of personality. I don't want to do that to people. I use an indirect approach. And you can use the same ITT for a direct approach or an indirect approach. Direct approach would be with the first look presentation, like reaching out to kind of give someone a quick peek at what we're doing. It's a quick peek, whether I use the direct approach or an indirect approach. So a direct might be like, hey, Sally, I'm working on a new business model. It might be a new business project. It might be for you. It might not. I would love 15, 20 minutes of your time. It would mean the world to me. Now, there's more to it, but the point is, it might be for you, it might not. So she's a potential candidate for it because I've said so in my invitation. I like the indirect approach because I made a list of 100 people when I got started who were some of the most busy, most successful, bright lights that I knew, making things happen, go-getters and all that. And I thought, probably only 5 out of these 100 people. I call it I didn't make this up. It's in the industry. It's like out of 100 oysters are in a bucket that I put in front of you. There are 100 oysters in there, Cynthia. Only 5 have a pearl in it. That's it. Oh, and each pearl's worth maybe $200,000. So I'm like, wait, there's $1 million sitting in this bucket waiting for me in the form of 5 pearls. The question is, how long am I going to take to shuck 100 oysters if I know the 5 pearls are like sitting in there? Am I going to shuck 1 oyster a month and take 100 months? Am I going to shuck 1 a week and take 100 weeks, 1 a day and take 100 days? Or I decided, you know what, my list of 100 amazing people, 5 are the pearls. They're going to see what I see. I just don't know which oyster it is. So I decided the other 95 are going to be my cheerleader. Why don't I just approach them all like, be my cheerleader, be my sounding board, be my committed listener. So that's my invitation. That's how I do an indirect invitation. Eric Worre talks about that. The only thing I love about Eric Worre is his book, GoPro, and then everything after that, just to focus on the book and spend my money. And I have my team spend their money on building depth. If you're going to spend money on training, do it within our community because the language is there. But the book, buy it used, $5, $8, invite, indirect. And mine is like this, Sally. I know how busy you are. I know you found the thing you're supposed to be doing. I finally found my thing. Or, hey, I said to this one guy, Gene, I know you've set yourself up to be free in the next 3 to 5. Knowing you, the way you've set yourself up, you're going to be able to walk away and have yourself set up with renewable income. What, in probably 5 years? I didn't have that. My coaching business, trade time for money, I'm on a hamster wheel forever. And if I can't work for 3 months, my income will stop for 3 months. So I needed something to set me up. And I didn't want to disrupt what I was doing because I love my coaching business. And I found a project and it has literally taken my breath away. It's one of the most profound things I've ever worked on. It's a chance to work on a project with my business partner going global. And I'm just doing it as a part-time venture and it's pretty big. When do you have 15, 20 minutes for me? Jump on a Zoom call, give you kind of the broad strokes of what we're doing. You might have an idea for me. You might think of somebody in one of the markets that we have our eye on. And even if you think of nothing, just having you as a cheerleader would be a gift. When's good for you? Like tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, or the next morning, 10 a.m. would be better, maybe better. And I just would get 20-minute Zoom calls booked with people or a phone call. Sometimes I was 6 years ago when I started, 6.5 years ago, I didn't know about Zoom on my phone. I knew about it on my laptop. So I was in Manhattan walking around on foot. So I did everything on my phone in the beginning, between meetings, under umbrellas in Manhattan, doing my little 10 or 15-minute call. And I might text them the ABC, tell my story, the company story, the ABC would be woven in there, and maybe I'd text the comp plan, not the income earnings page. Sometimes those are the only two visuals I use. And in 10 minutes, I'd be like, this is a quick glimpse of what I'm working on. And then that's step one. It's just a quick peek. Open the door, crack it open so they can kind of get a little glimpse. And then the end of step one is simply, the I is step one. A little bit of the story, a little bit of the info, a little bit of the peek. And then at the end of it, you'll see on the left, it's like we asked them, hey, so are you open to more information? Would it be like the science that you'd want me to send you more info on? Or would it be the business, the revenue share model, or a combination of the two? There's only 4 answers. Yeah, I want science. I don't know about the business right now. Science. Or if there was a business, I'll get to that later. I want to check out the science. Okay. So now I know what to send them. Or they go, hey, one lady goes, you've got patents and all those clinical studies. I can now see that that's a solid product line. Okay, that's cool. I just need to know about the business. So then you send links related to that. Maybe a LifeVantage overview. Ta-da, step 2. And then some people say, actually, I want a combination of the two. Remember, they're going to say, yeah, or the science, the business, yeah, a combination of the two. And the 4th answer is, when we ask that, they'll go, no, Jen, I'm actually good. I understand what you're doing now. I'm like, you're going to crush this. Or they might go, I don't know, it's kind of a weird model, but it's kind of cool you have patents, so it is a little different. They don't want any more information. How nice to ask that question. They go, no, I don't need any more information. This sounds like it's so up your alley. You're going to do great, Cynthia. Ta-da, done. But if there are 1, 2, or 3, which is the science or the business or a combination of the two, if they answer yes or send me that, we move to step 2. Step 2 is LifeVantage overview. It could be a live one on Zoom. It could be a live one in someone's home, in a hotel. It could be a replay of a Zoom LifeVantage overview. And here's what's great. I send that no matter what they want. If they want science, I send them LifeVantage overview and say, just focus on the first half. They're going into the product line, the sort of the science behind our activators. Just skip part 2. It goes into the business and the compensation plan. I literally say, skip part 2. Guess what's going to happen when they're watching the first half? They're going to go, the speaker is so compelling. And they're going to keep hanging around. They might actually sit through the second half. Great. At least they know what I'm doing. Or if they want business information, I'll say, hey, here's the LifeVantage overview from recently, in a recent event. Just watch part 2. Now, I tell them I'm going to do this. I don't just shilling links. I'm not a link schlinger, and I don't recommend link schlinging. I get their permission. I'm like, hey, I'm glad you want to know about thank you for letting me know it's the business that you want to learn more about. Recently, we had kind of a online, sort of like a virtual round table. Kind of imagine Steve Jobs, Apple, kind of sitting in a boardroom. Well, we have that presentation about where he was taking Apple. We have virtual sort of boardroom conversations, like a round table, painting the picture of this. So Sally, since you said you want to learn about the business, there was a 1-hour LifeVantage overview, kind of deep dive. The first half goes into the science of the product. You can just skip through that. And then smack in the middle, it shifts into the business. It goes into the company, the financials, kind of the story of the company, where we're going, countries, and it goes into the compensation plan illustration. And I said, so when I sent, and they go, if I sent you that, would you watch it? Yes. Get the permission. Then I send it and I remind them, just skip the first half, and I'll even go and look and I'll go, oh, it was a 1-hour event. Oh, 33 minutes is where the speaker hands over to this. We always do 2 speakers on my team. And I send them one of the ones I like. You can go find them. I mean, Rachel Picard, there's so many great LifeVantage overviews out there. You just kind of find the piece if they want a quick illustration of the comp plan. Like, it's this 15-minute segment between this and this. And make sure it's easy. But I like that it's in the form of a LifeVantage overview, because if they're on there, they might start going, well, 15 minutes is easy. I'll watch that. But then while they're there, they might go back and see what else they missed. So the LVO is pretty much the main step 2 that I share. Like, it is really my primo go-to. And then when they ask questions, we move to the team. ITT. Team meaning third party kind of validation. My first 3 or 4 months, I did not have I was already working 80 hours a week. I gave 6 hours a week to this. And I knew all I wanted to do in those 6 hours was connect people to the story. Made my contacts and did little mini presentations wherever I could squeeze them in. And when they asked me questions, I was like, I didn't think to ask that one. I got my questions answered. That is a really good question. I'm writing it down. What other questions do you have? And then usually they were asking me stuff that I didn't even know how to answer. I said, these are great questions. Let's do this. Let's set up another call. I'll see which one of my business partners can jump on for like a quick 10-minute cameo. That's my favorite way to explain. We'll set up a call because I can only control Sally's schedule and my schedule. I said, why don't we set up a time and I'll see which of my business partners can jump on for a 10-minute cameo when we're on the phone between 2 and 2:30 tomorrow, whatever time we pick. And they're like, oh, okay. And I go, and if they can't come on, it'll just be you and me. I kind of make it lighthearted and kind of simple, no stress. Now, if I say, whoa, that question, I know exactly who needs to answer it. And that's Sarah Smith, her background in medical massage therapy. Let's come up with 2 times, Sally. You and I will pick 2 spots where we know we can be there. And then I can have 2 choices to offer to her. So the chances of her being available to jump on for a 10-minute cameo with us goes up. And they usually go, oh, that's a good idea. Because I edify the importance of them meeting my business partner who I feel like she has a kid. I don't have any kids. So how did she do this with a little 2-year-old at home and her husband was working from like 4 a.m. till late at night in construction. So she was kind of like a full-time working like mom of a 2-year-old that her spouse was never home. So I think you guys could really relate. How did she do this, building this in the middle of the woods of Maine and did not even have any friends in her phone because she had started from scratch in the woods with her husband. And so I'd love you to meet her and meet her story. So that's how I might set up the T. So let me just keep blowing through. Then, of course, there's the why. What is Sally? If I'm launching Sally, it's like, Sally, we want to know what the why of this new team member. Because then I can breathe like life into their dream when they forget it. Most of us have dreams. Like most people I've launched in this business are reclaiming dreams that they may have forgotten about. But guess what's funny about that? If it went under the carpet before, it could slip under the carpet again and we get back into our hamster wheel. So it is important to help me understand what they want so I can remind them about their dream when they forgot. Like, why did they want to do this? To retire their spouse. It's amazing the kinds of dreams and goals people share with me. I'm so moved by that. And so one of my friends was like, I have a brother, his kid is special needs and he's in his 20s and he and his wife never can live a normal life. They're constantly covering. I want to make an extra. He goes, I want to make 10 grand so I can send 5,000 a month to my brother to let them hire someone so they can take a day each week and go just be on a date. I was like, wow. And then we looked at what rank would most align, and he was realizing to have 10,000, he has to make 20,000 because, taxes and whatever else. He was like, oh, so that meant EC2 was that was going to be his game plan over the next 5 years, part-time, to be able to have the extra 10 grand clear so he could send 5 grand every month to his brother. I mean, but it's now driven by the why. It's not driven by the money. And then this is another piece of the money mindset. Most people aren't trained in leveraged income. So this is a very important thing. So if I wanted to receive leveraged income means it comes in continuously from something I've already put into place. So let's just say you found a bank account that paid 5% interest, or it might be some kind of investment combo that's spitting off 5%. Okay, so if I wanted $1,000 coming in every month for the next 20 years or whatever the game plan was, that would be $240,000 socked away in a 5% interest bearing account. If I wanted $5,000 coming in, see, people think, oh, $5,000 a month, we're used to working hours for that. That's the linear income, but this is leveraged income. So if someone wants $5,000 a month coming in from a previously established asset, in this model with a 5% interest, that's 1.2 million sitting in a bank account earning 5% interest. And if I want to make 10,000 a month, or if Sally says to me, I want to make 10,000 a month, I'm like, okay, that's the equivalent of 2.4 million sitting in a bank account on 5%. I do not know how to help my friends stash away 2.4 million over the next 5 to 8 years. I do know how to help my friends and teach them how to make 10,000 a month in this business because my mentors showed me how to do it. Building Depth showed me how to do it. I can actually bring them to Building Depth. If they agree to go to 2 minimum, all 3 preferably each year within 5 to 8 years. It could be sooner, But even if they took me 8 years, part-time, what else can they do part-time that's going to be equivalent of 2.4 million sitting in a bank account at 5%, spending off 10,000 a month? I mean, it's so powerful. And then these are the 6 skills. There really aren't many skills. I have to be able to have the skill of a getting started checklist. That might be when I launch my business, but how about monthly? Create a checklist for the month. What are my goals? Where am I going? What are my resources? What's my list for that month? Or a weekly checklist, a daily checklist. So that's a skill that some people are like, learn. I get better, I still laugh. I'm still kind of a spaz with lists. And then I'm like, oh yeah. And every month I have a clear kind of roadmap, little mini checklist put together. Those I manifest more powerfully because there's clarity. The other skill here is number 2, databasing. Once we go through our initial 100 or 300 or 500 names, whatever it is, how well do we network and continually add to the database? That's the skill of databasing, like a verb, continually expanding and having a flourishing. If you're a farmer, it's, do you have a seed bank or are you running out of seeds? If you run out of seeds, do you have like a resource to fill up your cup with more seeds so you can have like a new wave of your garden? So that would be going to networking events and not being the hunter at the networking event. Those are the people. It's usually insurance agents and network marketers. When they come in the room, people go, oh no, it's that guy. Quick, pretend you're with me. And like they don't want to be hunted. People hate that. So learn to be someone that goes to a networking event and just build relationships. I don't even mention what I do until I can tell that I've like the know you, like you, trust you process is kicked in. That might take 6 months, but I might be, whether it's a chamber event or some kind of networking group, it's just go slow and court people. Don't pounce on them, but that's a skill that adds to our database because I never run out of names. 6.5 years later, I still have a couple thousand people. I was like, whoa, but I've been networking all my life, so I have a huge list. Some people on my team had no list when they came here, so they're learning how. They made a commitment to master the art of networking, building new relationships, and being someone who becomes like a friend first before like, hunting them down to talk about their life managed business. Just be like, well, what do they want? What are they looking for? Be a friend. Invite is the 3rd skill. That's the way it should be like less than 2 or 3 minutes, honestly. Anything longer than that, we're actually presenting. So it's kind of a tough call because sometimes we're catching up with people. And so it's an always ever, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. And you can never say the right thing to the wrong person. So don't worry, you can never mess it up. It's just the goal is to master these skills, to practice, like get on the horn with another sideline leader and practice your invites. It's a really fun thing to do that. And as you heard, that was my invite. Hey, I'm working on a new project. I was actually, what I said for my first 2 months was, hey, do you have 2 minutes for me? Yes. I'm literally about to walk into a meeting because I always was walking into something in Manhattan. I said, a dear friend reached out and asked for my help expanding her company's patents into global markets. Took my breath away. I said yes. I know I had no business saying yes because I'm so freaking busy, but it's kind of fun because it's the same 6 hours I was going to spend on like a position on a nonprofit board. So I'm just going to redirect those 6 hours to this project. And then they all go, oh, that makes sense. That's all I said. Love to get your take on this. You may have an idea for me. You might think of somebody. And even if you think of nothing, having you as my cheerleader would be a gift. I repeated that 100 times. And the only time I got no to a presentation was when 20 out of the 100 had a absolute tragic trauma or positive, like birth of a new baby, but like something chaotic was sucking them in. And they're like, oh my God, grandma just died. I'm like, oh my God. Totally focus on that. I'll reach out, just all the best, we'll talk in 3 or 4 months. Like I would just let go. That was the only reason people wouldn't make the time because something overwhelming was going on. But 80 of the 100 were like, yeah, what are you working on? Oh my God, you with all you're doing, what did you say yes to? I got to hear about this. So I just had fun, but that was my style. That was my invite. Telling the story, number 4. Tell your story, the company's story, and how we get paid. I learned how to do that in 10 minutes. My story, hey, I'm maxed out. January 1, everything goes to 0. Love what I'm doing, but I'm unsustainable if I have an injury or my dad needs me up in the middle of New Hampshire. I needed something that would add a sustainable cash flow without interfering with what I love doing as a consultant. And I found it. And here's what it is. And then I would say the company retail wasn't working. ABC came in, blah, 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 I played the ABC. Like, you guys practice telling the story in 10 minutes. And then how we get paid is like, look, you might think, oh God, those network marketers, they just run around and sell products. No, I said yes to this because I am able to earn a multi-decade revenue share on any city, state, or country I have a hand in putting on the map. People were like, that doesn't sound like a product peddler. That's like what had my friends willing to stop, like listen, because I got my story in a fun, fluent way that invited them to the next step. Follow-up is you invite them to a LifeVantage overview, 3-way call, you get the point. What else are they needing? Science, kind of know where the tools are. Don't memorize the answers, just know where the answers are located. Number 6 is they sometimes run up against their fears. That's why we have to have a lot of compassion. And 5 and 6 kind of go together because sometimes they get stuck by a fear. And I'm like, hey, no worries. Just come to the next event. Just keep hanging out in the conversation. You'll know when it's the right time. And just, if not, just stay a customer. It's okay. Like I affirm wherever they are so they don't feel like pressure. Remember, I'm intense. They don't need to have me breathing down their neck. So I always let them be exactly where they are. And in the middle is accountability. So I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up. I know there is the 5 core behaviors, but I want to honor the time here. Just remember, these 5 things are what allow for momentum. It's only if momentum is what someone's doing. Not everyone on my team wants momentum, but the ones who do are like, oh, yeah, I kind of spazzed out and got distracted. I haven't been doing my 15 presentations a month. But even 7 a month, like 2 a week, it's 8 a month, start wherever we can start. Attending all events is a funny one. Think of it like this. You're getting fluent in a new language. We're getting fluent in the language of leveraged income. What is it to build an income flow that's separate from me working? I'm building it, so I'm involved for the 3 to 5 years. But when it's all said and done, like I can step away and the business runs without me. How many people are fluent in that? Not many of my friends. So I tell them, this is like learning a new language. You don't just sign up for French class, say, I'll be fluent in 2 years. And they say, okay, there's 3 classes a week. And then 3 times a year, we have like an immersion weekend. And if you do this as it's designed, you will be fluent in 2 years. And we're like, okay. And then we decide to skip a couple classes. I'm not going to go to the immersions. That's what I tell people when they sign up. It's like, you want to get fluent in B quadrant. That's the Kiyosaki's language. The income that comes in without me working in the business, but more like build it so it's kind of separate from me, separating myself from the creation of my income. I said, I'm learning leveraged income. It's a different language. I didn't get raised with this. So for me to get fluent in this language, I was willing to go to all my team calls every week. We have like 3 to 4 that we can go to on my team. Some are, LifeVantage overviews. Some are like huddles, like a deep dive training on a Tuesday night with building depth. 3 immersions a year. I tell people, if you want to accelerate your learning curve, don't miss any of it. If you're okay with a slower pace, just plug in whenever you can. It's always perfect. Maintain control of your business. No link schling, and that's link schling. If I schling a link, I texted to somebody, when do I call them? I've lost control. I don't even know when I'm supposed to call them if I schlung a link at them. So I never just schling the ABC. I love watching the ABC with people. Text it to them, and I'll call you back in 4 minutes. Because I have control, because I now know they're watching it, or I watch it with them on Zoom. Always do what you say. That's the hard one, because we think, oh, I have integrity. Of course I do. No. If you say you're going to attend 2 weekly calls a week with your team, do it. Even if you feel like icky right before the leadership call, you get on there. I always say the only time you miss one of your LifeVantage commitments, especially if they're like the team and training calls, is for the same reason you would not show up at your job. If you kind of go, I have a scratchy throat, I go, would you not show up at your job with that throat? No, I would drag myself to work. I said, then you drag yourself onto the call. Do not let that take you out. And then lastly, promote. I look at it this way. If I do the first 4, then promote just means I can now speak to the power of the first 4 with integrity. I can actually promote the power of 15 or more present. I can promote the impact it had on me when I started doing these things. I can promote the impact of going to these the deep dive events. So promoting what you can speak to it with authenticity because you did it. And also inspiring people to learning the art of promoting, like make sure they go to global. make sure they go to the next building depth. That's really what promoting, it's its own skill. So there it is. Commit to these behaviors for 2 to 5 years until it's done. Focus on the behaviors, not the results. Don't worry if 10 months goes by and I don't have any results. If I did these 5, I'm on track. Celebrate that. Buy yourself a, I don't know, special latte or whatever your thing is when you do these every month. Find some little way to celebrate because you did the behaviors. The results will unfold as they are meant to. And that's how we achieve a predictable outcome. So I'm going to stop my share and turn it back over to Debbie.
Wow. Wow. It's so amazing, Cynthia. Thank you so much. It's just like a can full of gold that we can pour out and listen to and learn from and repeat and benefit from so much. Thank you so much for adding this to your day. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you.